Hi, welcome to Java with Jara, where we discuss timely issues impacting the Clark County School District with CCSD Superintendent Dr. Jesus Jara. If you have a question you'd like to ask Dr. Jara, please send it to the email on the screen. So Dr. Jara, last week, the Board of Trustees approved the new MAP growth assessment for all students in grades K through 8. Do you want to tell us a little bit about why this is important?
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for being here for my Java with Jara. Yeah, no, I'm really excited about the opportunity to bring on MAP and NWA. One of the things that has been critical for me is really looking at a balanced assessment system and equity, right? So as a whole, we've had multiple assessments, and this is really a way for us to be able to standardize how we measure students across the entire school system. So we're children in Moapa Valley to Laughlin to the city of Las Vegas to Henderson. You know, we look at ways for us to look at progress monitoring the success of the students. You know, the exciting piece is that, you know, resources that we have been, that we will be allocating according to some of the centralization that we've been able to do and in my reorganization. So it's going to be something that the central office will be funding. So the 104 schools that have been spending their resources on, they'll be able to keep some of that money, you know, because I think this is a central service that we should be providing. But also, when you really start looking at the data at the school level, because it comes with a plethora of reports for not only teachers, for principals and for parents. It's a way that our staff can look at their individual student data to not only progress monitor, but it also look at the growth opportunities, you know. So, you know, I'm really excited that the board went into, you know, and really adopted really this partnership with NWA, but also, you know, for us to be able to now use some of the reports to progress monitor our students. So, you know, and it also comes with a lot of professional development for teachers. So really excited about where we're going in that direction.
Awesome. Well, I was at the elementary school principals meeting yesterday, and I know they sounded excited about the consistency in the test and also to save that money. Yeah,
no, and it also, you know, it's a great point, but it also eliminates some of the other assessments that we then, because, you know, one of the concerns that I have, and we do as a board as well, is just really to limit the number of tests that we administer. So I think, you know, this really provides a lot more instructional time for our schools.
Awesome. So another thing that's been going on lately in the news is there was a decision made to reallocate the funds that are provided to schools who have a certain level of students who are free and reduced lunch students. So can you tell us a little bit more about why that decision was made?
Yeah, no, and you know, and as I'll say a couple things. So, because I just talked to our principals today and yesterday, and you know, as I mentioned to the board, I really do apologize for, you know, the communication. I think it was something that we could have done. I could have done a better job as superintendent communicating with schools. So, you know, that's something that we'll course correct. As I told the board last week at the board meeting, it was fast, but it was not something that we, you know, not took into account, because we had been thinking about a lot of these different things and how do we drive more resources to where we have the neediest kids in our population. But here's the challenge, right? Is that we have, you know, $67 million. By the way, it's $3 more million that we put out last year, so it's not money that's coming into Central. It's just really allocating more to schools, and the decision point moving from 40 to 60. You know, when you take that money and reallocate it, but then you're taking it to 60% and above, you're reallocating resources to our neediest kids, right? So when you look at the equity and the component of adding more resources to schools that have been historically underserved and schools that have historically been under-resourced, that gives families an opportunity, and building principals and teachers an opportunity to have more, you know, more resources there. So it was, you know, something that it was calculated, but it was, you know, something within the timeline, and the short timeline was due to getting principals strategic budgets in time, and wanted to make sure that principals had the opportunity to have that money available so they can hire and be able to, plan accordingly. So, as I mentioned, I accept the responsibility on the communication. I do, and my staff will be able to do a better job. But as I told the principals, what I cannot apologize is that we are providing more resources to families, to schools that have been historically underserved and under-resourced. So I think it's going to move us into the right direction of where we need to be, and really looking at some academic gains for our students.
And that all those changes and those extra resources will be with those schools in the next school year for the 1920 school year.
Yeah, no, and that's right. And one of the things that we're looking at, we put an appeals process for principals to send us, those that lost money, and also I committed to then providing some extra support for schools, because we're going to try to find a way to wean them off, and they looked at it. So it was really strategic, and as I mentioned, the communication is something that I got to do a better job at.
Okay, final question. Your top legislative priority is to change the education funding formula in Nevada, which was created in 1967. It's the oldest education funding formula in the country.
I don't think I was born in 67. I wasn't born in 67.
All right. I wasn't either. So what are your plans in the legislature, and what's your hope? Well,
our core issue is really, as you mentioned, and our board has adopted a great legislative platform, and we have a great team up in Carson City, really working our legislative platform as a board. So yeah, no, the Nevada plan is the top priority. When you really look at that plan, not only is, it's outdated, the oldest formula, it's also something that it really doesn't support the academic achievements for our students, right? Our children today are totally different than they were in 1967. The county was totally different than it was in 1967. You look at the transformation that needs to happen in education, we need to provide the funding. Our principals and our teachers, our support staff have been doing a phenomenal job with the very little resources that we have. So that's number one priority. And then really the second one, which is all included within our legislative priority, is really the weighted funding formula. I say this all the time, kids, not every single student of the 320,000 children that we serve, cost us the same, right? I mean, and right now we're getting resources. Everybody gets the same, and those are things that we need to look at and add weights, and that's, to me, the fundamental issue that we have this legislative session. So we're excited. We're getting some traction, and then really working with our legislators to make sure that we address it and get the resources that we deserve here in Clark County.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we will keep everyone updated through Java with Jara's and other communication as we go through the legislative session that ends in June of this year. So thank you so much for joining us for Java with Jara.